At WinterFest, we've always talked about how the rides, the shows, and the atmosphere are some of the best parts of the event. But there's actually something more to it than that. Hello, everybody. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Sir, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Tops is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans because that's who we are and that's who we care about.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, and it's funny because I didn't even think about this until we started discussing this episode. But in terms of activities for Winterfest, there are shows and there are a few rides open, and there's the environment, but there's also various activities, things that just aren't necessarily stuff that Kings Island offers during the normal season, but they certainly offer it during Winterfest, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it's all very much a part of the experience at WinterFest, especially, if you're a family and you have some young children. The things that Ryan and I are going to talk about here, something that you definitely want to take part in.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the experiences and activities. So let's start off with the biggest one. And it's funny because, when we talk about ice skating, Snowflake Lake ice skating, that when they first reintroduced Winterfest in 2005 or four, I'm getting old. I don't remember the stuff.
2005 came back.
2005. That's what I was leaning towards. I remember Jeffrey Siebert, who was the park spokesperson at the time, was saying that when they were doing their initial surveys of Winterfest, there were two things that people kept on repeating, and everything else was in the single digits as a percentage. But you have to have the Eiffel Tower Christmas tree, and you have to have ice skating on the fountain. So you talk about a Cincinnati tradition that's been born and reborn a couple times, right?
Yes, and that has always been, going back to the first Winterfest that debuted in 1982. That's always kind of been the big draw, was that opportunity to skate on the Royal Fountain. Just very picturesque. I don't think you're going to find an outdoor skating venue that's going to have that same kind of atmosphere that you're going to have at Winterfest. You've got International Street, all the lights and decor. You got the Eiffel Tower as a backdrop. The ice skating rink, lots of room to skate. It's 240 feet long, so you got plenty of room to work with. I think it's something that everybody that goes to Winterfest should at least try it. If you're not somebody that has, ice skated before, you're afraid to ice skate, they do have these little, props and things that you can use to kind of help keep you up around the ice. So it's something that, everybody in the family can try, something everybody can do together, and you're going to remember that experience.
Yeah. So some of the semantics, shall we say, involved with this are really cool. Because your rental does include the skates themselves, so you can bring your skates. To my understanding, at least in the past, you've been able to the park, but they will supply their skates. Their skates really aren't that bad. They're more like hockey skates than they are the figure skates that they typically have at rental places. But they've got 3 different sessions: 5 to 6:30, 7 to 8:30, and 9 to 10:30. So they're 90-minute sessions. You can come on and off the ice whenever you want. You do have to sign a waiver. They recommend that you fill it online ahead of time. The sessions do sell out, and there is no pass holder discount. So we did an episode in the past about preparing for skating and stuff, and you can speak from a lot of experience with you were an iceman, shall we say, up until your years at Kings Island.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tips in that. You want to make sure that you're wearing, the right kind of socks. You want to make sure that you lace up your skates, kind of snug. You don't want it to be too tight, but you don't want it to be loose. You want to wear the appropriate clothing because it can get cold pretty quick down there on the ice. It's something that, again, you got to try it. I think if you haven't skated on the Royal Fountain before, now Snowflake Lake is what it's called there for Winterfest, you definitely got to do it. And now you talk about 90 minutes. That is a long time to ice skate.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but this is also really a 2-hour experience. I wanted to bring that up because this will be a big chunk of your day. Like, let's not gloss over that.
Yeah, but you probably, if you're on the ice, your actual time skating around, if you can make about, 15, 20 laps around there, you can take a little bit of a break for a few minutes, get some hot chocolate, and come back out again. But I think, 30 minutes of actual skating time is a lot. That's a good workout. I don't care what age you are, that's a pretty good workout. So don't be intimidated if I'm going to use all 90 minutes just doing this, because you don't have to. It
Right.
just gives you
Yeah.
that time, kind of come and go. Everybody gets there right at the start. So maybe come a little bit later into your session. Again, you got 90 minutes. And as long as you're getting 25, 30, 35 minutes on the ice, you're going to feel you got a great value out of what it costs to ice skate.
Yeah, not just that, and to contrast what you're saying, and what you're saying is true. Everybody wants to get there right when it starts, but also you can pick up your skates early. So if you do want to get there and get on the ice as soon as it opens to the public, then you have that option of doing that. But you're right. It's 90 minutes is a long time, and I mean, I'm not a super experienced skater, but I do know how to skate. And even I, like, I'd skate around a few times and then go sit for a little bit and then go back out and stuff. But if you don't know how to skate, or if you're not good at skating, welcome to the club. Everybody there is going to be slightly out of control. People will be falling. It'll be kids that have never done it before. So don't feel like you're going to be the only one and you're going to make a fool of yourself.
No, not at all. Now,
Especially,
yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
no, I was just saying, like, especially if you've ever tried to skate at any other rink, people just do this stuff for fun. There's only like maybe 5% that are hockey players and figure skaters, or just regular ice people that really can like control themselves on the ice. So just go and have fun. You have fun with your friends and family. You won't forget it. Plus, you like that view of the fountain when you're on there and with the lights projecting on it and the view of International Street and stuff. Do it just for that, if anything.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, though, if you do start at the beginning when your session's ready to go, you do get a little bit better ice because it's just been resurfaced.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the best possible ice for you. But again, you got 90 minutes, and use your time wisely. You're not going to skate for 90 minutes. Most people don't. So get your time in, and then there's so much to see and do at WinterFest. Just move on to something else.
I wanted to share this. Let's see here. I was thinking, like, to prove that I've skated before. So here it comes. Here's a picture of it's me, my girlfriend Erin, my friend Jeff, and his son Noah. That was us ice skating. I think that was the day before Christmas Eve. And I guess this isn't the best representation of all the lights and stuff, but it was such a fantastic time. And watching Noah learn how to skate and stuff, that's one of those memories always.
What year was this?
2021, I want to say.
Okay.
But notice that, like, so I'm down to wearing just a hoodie. Jeff is wearing overalls, but he's got short sleeves on. Noah's a little bundled up, but Erin, who's always cold, is still wearing her parka and her sock hat after 90 minutes on the ice.
But, back in the day, in the 80s, I would go to WinterFest the nights that I played hockey. My games would normally be like 8:30 at night, 10:30.
Yeah.
I would go to WinterFest and I would skate for just about 15 or 20 minutes, but just to get in, get loosened up and everything. And I had some of my best games ever playing hockey by just going there before the games and just, getting in a few laps.
Yeah. So it's such a good time. Like, I can't stress enough, like, just to give it a shot. And you get so many people that write it off in terms of like, I'm not a good skater. I don't know how to skate or whatever. No excuses. Like, you got to have fun with your friends and family.
95% of the people on the ice are not good skaters.
Yeah. And the other 5% are Don, and then some other people that play hockey with Don. Okay. So let's press on. International Restaurant Winter Buffet. Thank God it's back. This is one of my favorite things.
Can't beat the view, can you?
The view, I mean, this picture alone that's a really good way. Actually, if you can time yourself to be up there during the parade, that's a great place to watch the parade. But it seems like they didn't release the menu yet, but it says rotating menu of carving station, pasta station, unlimited Coca-Cola beverages, chicken tenders and fries available upon request. It's an additional fee. They don't have the price yet, but I would say that the likely thing is it's between $30 and $35, which as a one-time thing or a once a year thing Totally worth it. It's so good. It's so fun. It's warm up there. That's another thing. But I can't stress it enough. They released the dates for this. I don't see it on the website, but it's only, oh, here we go. December 18th through the 23rd, and then the 26th through the 29th. But always check the website because they have removed, they also use the IR for like corporate events, and
Yeah,
December is a huge time of year for
a lot of group
corporate events.
sales companies having their parties and that there.
Right. So these dates are subject to change and they have taken them off. So my friends and I, either last year or the year before, we all met up at the park intending to do it, and they took the date off. So check it day of. It's not going to change the day of, but definitely at least like a few days before, check it. Um, so Charlie Brown, I guess this is a twofer here because, but Charlie Brown's Christmas tree lot. So that's in Planet Snoopy, and it's come help Charlie and Linus pick out a Christmas tree and search for one that just needs a little love. It's almost like a Christmas tree maze. That's hard to describe, you know.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. A maze. It's cute.
I really thought you were going to go somewhere else after cute, but yeah, it's cute. It's oh, so yeah, okay. So
Adorable.
Snowworks. So okay, so I tell you what, the Snowworks thing is interesting because this is going down on, like, it's almost like a carpet surface. It is fun to do. It sometimes does have a pretty long line, but Kentucky Kingdom's going to have real snow, and I wonder if that's going to influence the park to consider something like that, because this is nothing compared to what they have, and if that's their star attraction, Kings
No,
Island's going to
theirs is
win it.
175 feet. This one's not 175 feet, but still fun nonetheless.
It is fun. You got to be 42 inches tall to do it. Sally's Christmas Craft. Sally Brown invites children 12 and under to create a greeting card and decorate a special ornament for a loved one. One thing I will tell you, this is in the Peanuts, not the Peanuts Emporium. What do they call it? The main shop there that used to be
The Sky Ride station.
right. I can't think of the name of it, but it's in Charlie Brown's Christmas Town, as they're calling Planet Snoopy for the time being. But the people that work in there have been so great, and that kid that I showed you before, Noah,
Noah,
he's
yeah.
still under 12, and he still enjoys doing that stuff. And he's a wild one, and they were so patient with them, and they had fun with them, and he just really, really enjoyed that.
I think if you have kids that are like under 10, this is can't miss when you go to WinterFest. You got to do this.
Yeah, I mean, they get to decorate that stuff. They get to take it home. They can make a card for their mom or their dad or their loved ones or whatever. North Pole Post Office, hidden freaking gem. Children can write postcards to Santa, and the letter will be certified and posted to the big man up north. They've got this whole contraption. This is at what we would consider to be the far end of the sweet spot, where they put the letter on this thing and they send it down this like freaking Rube Goldberg thing across the building, and the letter drops in. And my favorite part of the theming is that it's got two different modes: the letters to Santa and the letters to the Easter Bunny. But obviously, it's turned towards letters to Santa during WinterFest.
Yeah, it's like you said, hidden gem.
It really is. Artisan Village. Browse through our village of local artisans and craft vendors, showcasing gifts ideal for the special person on your Christmas list. I have bought a few things. I'm not a it's hard to say this without sounding like a jerk, but I'm not a huge fan of this stuff, because I understand that people hand make stuff, but it's also like they had a knit hat and it was like $50 for it, and it's like the same ones at Walmart for $8. But with that being said, our friend Steve, who does the cutouts, he had a booth. He said that when he was on the show, from Steve's Custom Art and Metal scam, as he calls it, that he wasn't sure if he was going to present at Winterfest. His stuff is available on the Kings Island online shop, but there was I did buy a couple candles for some people and some ornaments. So there is stuff to be found there. That's some pretty cool deals. You meet some nice people that are very passionate. They're usually there year after year too.
Right.
Well, that's it for this list here. But
Well, don't forget about cookie decorating.
Yeah. So let's start with Jack Frost Igloo Village. So that is an upcharge. We had a listener question about whether or not this is a good value, and I think you and I determined that probably not, unless it's an extended day like New Year's Eve. But these things, I mean, when you were there, they were selling out as soon as they went on sale.
We
So
sold them out within like 48 to 72 hours. Then they would go on sale. So end of October, beginning of November, we were already putting the sold out sign on it. So the fact that they're still available, so the supply and demand isn't there anymore with it. So maybe people have tried it, just weren't going to do it. Not something you're going to repeat unless it's New Year's Eve. So it's still, I mean, it's nice. It's a place if you want to put some things in there and go back out in the park. It's a place to park some stuff. But personally, I would not do it because it's a short night, 5 to 10. I want to be out in the park exploring all there is to see and do.
Yeah, so what it includes is it's accommodations for up to 8 guests and includes VIP seating at select shows, 4 WinterFest souvenir hot chocolate mugs, and priority access to Snowflake Lake skating and Mrs. Claus's kitchen cookie decorating. I feel like for the price, maybe they should include one of those two, and that would make it like, oh, it's a VIP experience. It's not just like I'm renting this bubble.
Right.
Maybe that's the point where they're at now. What sucks though is this is clearly like a social media copy that's probably company wide, so it doesn't say which 4 shows it is. Likely it's Tinkers, maybe Swinging into Christmas,
Charlie Brown, whatever, the Peanuts
Charlie
Guide to
Brown's
Christmas.
Guide to Christmas, Peanuts Guide to Christmas. And I can't think of a 4th sit down venue unless they have a spot up for the front of the house where for the international bandstand.
That's possible.
That's possible, yeah. But anyway, yeah, more could be done with that, but it is cool that there is that option. Now, Mrs. Claus's Kitchen. You talk about some of the park had no idea what they had. Remember when this was like $8.99 the first year?
Yeah.
And the line was like 3 hours long, and now it's like $25. But I don't even think it's like a huge ripoff at $25.
It is not. Those cookies are huge, and when you watch the kids, and the parents, whether either decorating their cookies, I mean, that's something that's memorable. You're going to remember doing that with your parents. The parents remember doing that with the kids for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's some of these kids, the creations they make, they're amazing with what they do with these cookies.
Yeah. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, then you're really coming out ahead. But if you're listening, then I got to describe this photo they have, because this is kind of funny. So it's like this father and his son, and then it's got Mrs. Claus, who's kind of interjecting herself into this because this kid clearly has his stuff down making the cookie. But they couldn't have chosen a younger looking Mrs. Claus because it's clearly like a 20-something-year-old wearing a gray wig and an Apple Watch, I might add. But here's a little Easter egg for you. I wanted to share this photo as well. This is a good example of what not to do. He's going to kill me for showing this, but it's our show and we will show what we want. So the intention of Mrs. Claus's Kitchen is that you get all the cookies and then you decorate them and you take them home. Maybe you share them for Christmas or whatever. My friend Alex did not understand that and proceeded at the table to dump a bunch of icing on his cookie and eat it right there at the table. So that's a perfect example of what not to do, but it was a pretty funny experience, and I still make fun of him for this today. And this was, 2017.
Ryan, that is just your friend Alex being Alex.
That is Alex being Alex. It really is, but still kind of funny nonetheless. But yeah, Mrs. Claus's Kitchen. That's another like really really cool thing. That's none of this stuff has prices listed. I wonder if they're finalized or not. But that's
I would buy that in advance because that once WinterFest opens and guests see that that's an opportunity, it doesn't take long for the whole night to be sold out. So make sure that you either buy in advance or it's one of the first things that you do or you'll be left out.
Yeah, the line forms very early, as in like at 4:30 or so. But let's talk about the experience itself, because I feel like we're glossing over this, assuming people know. if you haven't at least checked it out, they actually build like a 1950s looking kitchen in
Hmm.
there. This is toward the end of the Emporium. So the Emporium is broken up. It's the on the left, it's the ice skating skates and stuff. The middle big area is North Pole Mercantile, which is what the Emporium's called. And then on the right is Mrs. Claus's Kitchen. So Mrs. Claus's Kitchen, it really is themed to it. And then it's got Mrs. Claus there and several elves there to help you decorate cookies. They've got all sorts of ingredients and sparkles and sprinkles and stuff like that. So highly recommend it, like you said, but definitely buy in advance or get there early.
Yeah.
And there's only one more activity that comes to mind, and that's St. Nick's Picks. So that's your opportunity to take a picture with the big guy. Pictures of Santa, the holiday tradition. And the man in the red suit will take the toy requests throughout Winterfest. Visits from Santa Snoopy, which is his B show, shall we say, is the 26th through the 31st. So Santa goes back to the North Pole at Christmas, and then it's Santa Snoopy, who, in my opinion, might be the better Santa. I'm a grown adult, though. I don't get presents anymore. And that's the 26th through the 31st. This is an upcharge. Your Fun Picks does not work, but this is a really
Well,
good photo
that
opportunity.
family picture with Santa, I mean, that's something. It's tradition. During the holiday season, uh, that building where it's at, by Diamondback,
Yes.
down that way, it looks amazing in there. Very well done. You got the tree and other decor in that. Uh, this is a great souvenir item to have that picture with Santa. So to me, this would be can't miss.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So yeah, so tons of activity. Some of the stuff is up charges, but again, you want to do the thing. You don't ever get this time back. So you take your kids to the park. I understand you had the meal plan. I understand that you have the season pass. I understand you have the drink plan, but your kid's never going to be 6 years old again, unless they're Peter Pan, which is possible. But
No,
but
but it's a fantastic opportunity, and those are going to be cherished memories. Those photos that you get. And you're right. You're only 5, 6 years old once, so make sure that you do it. The line does move pretty quick. Sometimes it's out the door and it's into that area. It wraps around a little bit. Close to that restaurant. Sometimes it's on the corner where the blue ice cream is. But don't be intimidated by that. The line does move pretty quick.
yeah, all right. We'll be right back with your stories. All right. Today's story is from Jeff F. from Inglewood, Ohio. He said, "Hello, Don and Ryan. I'm a new fan of Tower Topics and I'm catching up on your past episodes. I enjoy the insight on the current and the nostalgia on the past that you're providing. Since Winterfest is our upcoming season, I grew up going to Winterfest in the 80s with my parents and now take my family to KI as often as we can. My favorite show as a kid as Winterfest was Ebenezer Scrooge's puppet show that would pop out of the window of Scrooge and Marley's uh, counting house and would interact with and roast the crowd of people and kids. It was so much fun, and I know my kids would love it. I doubt today's PC society. I know in today's PC society, the chances of something like this returning would be slim to none. Do either of you have any memories and stories of this as well? Could anyone at KI ever consider bringing something like this back that is themed to a classic Christmas tale, but also walks a thin line?
I remember that very well. The 1980s was one of my favorite things about Winterfest. Scrooge could be, there were some things fired out at the guests that, you couldn't get away with today in the world that we live in. But no talk, once Winterfest returned in 2017, there was no talk of bringing that back. Uh, there was something like that at Halloween Haunt.
Heckle and How, that's what it's
Yeah.
called. It's the
Uh,
best thing ever.
yeah. And there were some things that I know that I spent, you know, several nights having to talk with guests after some of the things that were said to them. So I'd imagine with Scrooge, sometimes people can be kind of sensitive about things, but there was no mercy back in the day with Scrooge. If you were wearing a sweatshirt from a certain state or something, that could be a target. It was the character or the guy that played that. that character was, was very quick witted, and it drew a big crowd. Every night. People loved it, but yeah, for reasons, today you just can't get away with something like that. But I
Just
remember
because
it
of
well.
reasons.
But I
Yeah.
remember it well.
So yeah, and it's funny because for those of you who don't know, here's an interesting tie-in. So that probably inspired Heckle and Howl, which was essentially the same thing, but was it a witch that was up there insulting people
Yes.
for Halloween Haunt? And that didn't last very long, and it turned into like Witch's Story Time when they had that for um Snoopy's Halloween part, whatever you guys called it for that time. But now I believe that building is the one that's right at the beginning of Pumpkin Eater. I think that's the same building. So when you went into Pumpkin Eater, coming with your back to the gate, heading to like with the Kings Island Theater on your left, that first building on your left side was like a facade and it had like a cutout. And that's where the person would stand. So that started off with
Yeah.
Heckle and Howl, and then it went on to, Witch's Story Time. And I think it
One of
was
the things I had to deal with that back in, I think it was 2007,
it was early.
was, yeah, she said something to the guy and his girlfriend are in line, and she points down to him, and she says, "Oh, you're here again, but that's not the same girl you were with last week." Well, that didn't go over well. He laughed about it. The girls did not, and they got into a big argument and everything about it. And I remember having to talk with both of them, about it's Halloween Haunt, that nothing was off limits and that. So I don't know if I think that the girlfriend actually thought that he was there with someone else, and that's how they kind of left it. That she was very angry about that. So I don't think she got that it was just all in fun. But those are the reasons you can't do things like that today.
Yeah. So I actually just got some information. This is breaking news, but it's not that interesting. Sounds of the Nativity, although it will still be relatively in the same spot, it's going to be much further back. I was sent a photo of the stage that is now deeper into Planet Snoopy, so it's not going to be kind of jiving with the bumper cars or anything like that. So that's definitely good news for a lot of big fans of that. But
Always good to have friends in low places, isn't it, Ryan, to get photos like that?
it most certainly is, but sorry to interrupt your story, but yeah, so
That's
yeah,
all.
it would be interesting to see if the Ebenezer Scrooge thing was ever considered. He is a walk around character, and the guy that
Walker
played
and
him,
character, yeah, and that's another individual that plays that role, does a fantastic job, and I always enjoy just watching them interact with the guest.
I like the guy that's the ghost of Christmas Presents that everyone thinks is Jesus. I think they cut those characters, didn't they? Didn't they cut
I
those last
don't
year?
know. We'll find out.
I thought they cut them because remember they cut some of the Marymount characters last year. But I can't think of if they cut those, that'd be terrible because
You
those
got to
were
have Scrooge.
awesome.
You got to have Scrooge.
Well, they might have had Scrooge, but not like the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future. But I remember I was doing the international restaurant meal thing, the one we were just talking about, and the Marymount characters go up there and visit regularly. And as a joke, I was like, "Hi, Jesus, happy birthday!" And he comes up, he goes, "I am not Jesus. He is the little baby in the manger," or something like that. It was really funny. But Jeff, thank you for your story. We really, really appreciate it. It'd be interesting to see that come back. Um, Don, let's take this opportunity to thank our Prestige members. So our Prestige members are Facebook members that are our highest tier of membership. And the Prestige members we want to thank today are Miss Mandy 1983, Lil Mac 21, Brian Hauser, Logan Lipper, 330T, and Aaron Board. So thank you for supporting us at the highest tier. All membership tiers get early access to videos, exclusive content, as well as members-only live streams. Some tiers even get some free stuff. If you want to support the show, there's a link in the description to become a YouTube member. And you can join and you can get all these great benefits, and you're supporting the show in the best way possible. So thank you for Prestige members. Thank you for all members. And if you don't have the means to become a member, that's okay too. Thank you just for watching. Don, sweatshirts.
It is the sweatshirt season right now as we are in mid-November, and one of the hottest items out there is a Tower Topics full zip hooded sweatshirt. It's got the Tower Topics logo on the chest, big logo on the back. They are just $50, which includes shipping. If you're interested in one of these sweatshirts, either for yourself or they make a great holiday gift for the Kings Island fan on your shopping list, send us a direct message on our Tower Topics X, which is Tower Topics, which is Tower underscore Topics, and we'll send you the QR code. If you are not on X, just send me an email. It's Don Helbig at themeparksbydon.com, and just put in the subject line that you're interested in a Tower Topic sweatshirt, and I will send you the QR code. And once the transaction goes through, again, $50, which includes shipping, it just takes a matter of days to get your sweatshirt.
Yeah, so $50 including shipping. By the way, I'm going to put that email address back up there. Forgot to mention, if you want to send us your story similar to this, your favorite Kings Island memory, did you meet your spouse? Did you meet your significant other, first job or whatever? Send it to us at that email address. Send it to Don at donhelbig at themeparksbydon.com. Use the subject story for TT, and then we might read it on the show. If you want to send a picture along with it, we'd really appreciate that too, but you don't have to.
Hey, Ryan, I was sent an email yesterday by someone that we read their story. They wanted to say thanks for doing that. But they also thought for one episode, they said it'd be kind of cool for, Ryan and you, Don, to each share your Kings Island story. So maybe an episode down the line that we'll mix that in.
I feel like that's a really good idea on paper, but we've had so many episodes where we talk about like, oh, it sparked this memory or whatever. So it would be hard for me to pinpoint.
If you had to pick one thing that would be your Kings Island story, I mean, you got to have one thing that's your story, Ryan. So I think that's what they're asking, is for us to just pick one thing out, and maybe we'll get to that at some point. Maybe January or something. We'll do an episode there. But also we want to also mention that Tower Topics meetup is just around the corner. We're going to do this at Entertainment Junction. So be on the lookout for that information to be released on our Tower Topics X, and we will let everyone know when that date is. It's going to be in December. It'll be on a Saturday. Haven't pinned down the exact date yet, but we'd love to have everybody get together, do Entertainment Junction during the day before it closes down at the end of the year, and then we can all kind of travel over and meet up at WinterFest that night.
Yeah, that would be a really good time. I was actually just at Entertainment Junction over the weekend at a wedding, and it was starting to get surreal that the place was closing. I noticed that what's funny is they didn't have a bunch of merchant. Like, I was going to buy an Entertainment Junction t-shirt, but they didn't have any. And I thought they probably stopped ordering them in like July when they announced that they were going to close. But I know the employees there, and they were like, no, we're still ordering them. People are just buying them faster than we can get them. So, yeah, we'll do a Saturday in December. It'd be a good way to send it off, and we'll meet up. And for those of you who attended last time for the Attractions Group podcast meetup, it was a fantastic time. They're always very accommodating, and I'm sure that they'll be again. But keep an eye on social media, and we'll also pop it into a couple of our podcasts coming up. But we have a little bit of time for that. We'll be right back with the listener questions. All right. First listener question. This is Richard L. from Loveland, Ohio. Don, I feel like you should read this because it sounds like it's addressed to me. I'll just read it. Looking at buying a season passes next year. Prestige looks like the best option, but is it? Oh,
great question.
Of course it is. It's the best option. Of course it is. There is no other option than Prestige. Okay. Here's the thing. There are people that have a particular reason why Prestige is right for them. Some people just really like having those close parking spots. Totally get that. Some people go there on their lunch break and they want to get that one ride in. Totally cool with that. Some people like the extra 5% discount for some reason. Okay, totally. Some people really like the VIP lean-to. Okay. But for me, that's a lot of money for very little benefit. If Prestige was a $50 add-on, I'd be all about that every year. But to take $120 pass and make it like $300, and heck, if you want to get the all park passport, I think the all park passport even costs more if you get that. I think that's kind of crazy. When I bought it the first year, it was under the promise that we would have bottled drinks and stuff like that. But they took those away rather quickly, and a bait and switch, as people may call it. Not me, but other people. There was no apology from the park and no explanation. So there's no reason whatsoever to think that, as these budget cuts start rolling in post merger, that they won't, let's just not do snacks in the VIP lounge or like, yeah, that sort of stuff. So I would be concerned, unless you have some sort of very good reason to do it. I cannot in good faith recommend the Prestige Pass. Don, are you getting the Prestige Pass?
If I renew, no. I will not get
Okay.
Prestige. For me, I don't mind parking an extra 20 feet away. I can use the exercise, so I have no problem with that. I don't need a lounge, that's outdoor to sit down in. If it was something like King's Dominion's VIP
Oh, yeah.
lounge, a little bit different there, but I don't need that. I go there frequently enough, and the rides that I typically ride, I'm able to get on them as often as I want, so that one time thing. Now, if I was just coming on Saturdays, that was the only time I could go, there'd be a lot of value, to that front of the line, one time fast lane pass there for things like that. But I mean, there is value. There are some that, find it a tremendous value. And then there's others that, they just don't see the reason to get it. So I don't know. I mean, it's really up to you what you're looking for, what's important to you. How often you visit, what days of the week you visit. So there's a lot of things to consider there, Richard.
Yeah. So the next listener question you submitted for our listeners. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, this is a question from us to our listeners. We always take your questions, but now we want to throw one out to you. So if you're somebody that's listening or watching to us on YouTube, leave a comment because we want to know. So at Thanksgiving, just around the corner, do you create a wedge in the top of your mashed potatoes for the gravy, or pour it all over them? Reply in the comments. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, and just let us know, what you do with the gravy there. So Ryan, what about you?
I make a gravy pool in the middle. It's like Crater Lake.
I do that too. I want it to look, kind of nice, something you can take a nice picture of. But I make sure that there's an abundance of gravy.
Right.
Gotta
Well,
do
Don,
that.
I think the one thing that we can agree upon is that regardless of how you prepare your gravy, if this gravy is half as good as it looks, we're all in for a real treat.
That's right. That's right. Do you put gravy on all over your turkey?
Yes, turkey's too dry without gravy. I also put it on my stuffing.
You gave me that suggestion because I'm somebody that I'll eat a couple of bites of stuffing, but I've never been a big fan. But you suggested gravy, so I'm going to try that this year. But yeah, I even put it on my mac and cheese.
I do that too for Thanksgiving. I don't like buy
Yeah, not
gravy
any other
for the
time. For
purpose.
Thanksgiving, I put it on my mac. My whole plate's got gravy on it. So mac and cheese got gravy on it. Potatoes got gravy. Turkey obviously has the gravy. And then this year, my little bit of stuffing is going to have gravy.
You'll love it, Don. You'll be in the Tennessee mountains eating gravy. Good gravy at that, and not even riding the ride.
That's right.
Okay, enough of this. Hey, I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.